Hi, I'm Erin, and I'm filling in for Roy this week. King Solomon was a very wise person. 1 Kings 4:30 tells us that Solomon's wisdom exceeded the wisdom of all the children of the East and all the wisdom of Egypt. His son, Rehoboam, took over the kingdom when Solomon died. The Bible says when Rehoboam became king, he consulted the elders, but he rejected their wisdom. Instead, he listened to his buddies, who gave him bad advice. You can read about it in 2 Chronicles 10. Things did not turn out well for Rehoboam. So what can we learn from this? There are lots of common sayings about choosing friends wisely. You've probably heard them. Here are a couple. Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. You are the company you keep. The Bible talks about it too. Proverbs 13:20. Whoever walks with the wise becomes wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. Proverbs 27:17. Iron sharpens iron, and one person sharpens another. 1 Corinthians 15:33. Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts character. Obviously, the Bible and common sense tells us that wise friends will guide us, while foolish friends can lead us astray. Therefore, it's important who we choose to spend our time with and who we go to for advice. I have some questions about this, though. Does this mean we should always blindly follow the advice of people we consider to be wise, even if God seems to be telling us something different? Or what if we're getting conflicting advice from wise friends? Well, we need to remember that no one but God has perfect wisdom. Even the wisest people can be wrong. We should always rely on God as our ultimate source of wisdom. Advice from wise friends can be very helpful, but we should also seek wisdom directly from God through prayer and reading His Word. Ultimately, God's wisdom is the one we should follow. Proverbs 2:6 says, "For the Lord gives wisdom. From His mouth come knowledge and understanding." And James 1:5 says, "If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given him." Here's another question. If we have friends who are popular or influential, wouldn't they also be wise? Wisdom by God's standards is very different from wisdom by the world's standards. The Bible says that true wisdom comes from faith, obedience to God, and a commitment to living out God's truth through your actions. A wise person by God's standards displays the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. This is the type of friend we need as our closest advisor. Does this mean we should never have friends who think differently than us or don't share our values? No. The Bible is very clear that we should show kindness and compassion to everyone, even those who have different beliefs or backgrounds than us. The Bible tells about a time Jesus specifically walked through Samaria, even though Jews did not associate with Samaritans. While in Samaria, he engaged in a theological discussion with a woman who had lived a life that most would consider to be inappropriate. Jesus spent time with people the religious leaders of the day did not approve of. He associated with the outcast of the time, tax collectors, people caught in sin, lepers, the poor. We should follow Jesus' example by being kind to everyone. But be careful about who we ask for advice. Is the Bible against having friends who are not believers? No, Jesus was a Jew. Although Jesus' ministry focused primarily on Jewish people, he also interacted with non-Jews who didn't share his beliefs. As I said earlier, Jesus spent time in Samaria. Jews did not consider Samaritans to be of the same faith. Also, the Bible says Jesus healed the servant of a Roman centurion, and he healed a Canaanite woman, These people were not of the Jewish faith. Matthew 28:19 is a verse we often call the Great Commission. It says we are called to make disciples of all nations. In order to do that, we must show love to non-believers. And Matthew 22:39 says we should love our neighbors as ourselves. That verse seems to apply to all neighbors, not just our believing neighbors. But the Bible does warn against close association with those who promote ungodly behavior. Think about the verse from 1 Corinthians that I mentioned earlier. 1 Corinthians 15:33. Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts character. Here's another one. Psalm 1:1. Blessed is the one who does not walk in step with the wicked, or stand in the way of sinners, or sit in the company of mockers. The Bible seems to tell us that we need a wide circle of friends and acquaintances, but we should have discernment in our close relationships. Our closest friends, and those we turn to for advice, should be those who share our values and encourage our spiritual growth. They should be the ones who point us to Jesus. Christine Caine says it this way in her book Unexpected. Some friends are for a season. Some friends are safe up close. And some are only safe from a distance. I enjoy having a variety of friends, and some of them think and believe differently than me. But I do have to remember, not all friends are intended to give godly advice. When I need advice, I need to be very careful about where I get my counsel. I hope these thoughts about friendship have hit home with you. Do you have a large circle of friends that includes a variety of people? I hope so. Do you have a small circle of friends who are wise by God's standards? I sure hope so. If you don't have close friendships you can turn to for godly advice, how do you find them? Well, one way is to develop friendships at church. Rather than just attending weekly services, get to know people. Volunteer. Join a small group or attend a class. Ask God to lead you to the close friends you should have in your life. Ask someone who is obviously walking with God and displaying the fruit of the Spirit to have coffee or go to lunch. I have one last thought about friendships. We need to find wise friends, and we need to be a wise friend. In addition to having wise friends who can give advice to us, each of us should be a wise friend to others. Do you have people in your life who call you for advice? How do you become a wise friend? By spending lots of time with Jesus. He will work in you and He will work through you to share His wisdom with others. Well, that's it for today. Until next time, keep walking with Jesus.